Canada. And it's always great if you can also tell me where you're from when you join the chat. And we're almost at, there we are. We're landing in YouTube. So good. Good. We're there. So there'll also be a description that will get loaded up in describing how to ask a question. And I just need your first name and your preferred pronoun, he, she, they. Sometimes I can't tell from names. And your year of birth, just as an identifier. So as a seer, kind of we're seeing the lay of the land. So we're kind of going multidimensional in all time spaces. And so some people call them past lives, but then other people say, well, everything happens in the now, in presence. So really it's all happening in one. So we're kind of working through presence through the heart. So that's in all time space. And then we call on our higher selves for guidance and connecting to source consciousness through the heart and then through the inner body. So nothing shifts or clears unless the body says yes. And so, you know, in older past kind of spiritual teachings, it was all about the body is useless. Let's transcend the body. Let's move away from the body. But really, on um, on 3D in a 3D body on 3D Earth, our body actually is what helps us see what is interfering with our system, with our life force, with our energy, and our higher self lets us know what is happening in our internal and what needs to be released, what needs to shift, and also what doesn't belong to us, which is the most important thing. So it's like we're seeing it as interference. Okay, so it's a much more gentle name, but it actually, to me, is very accurate. It is interference. What is interfering with your sovereign body, God self, divine self, source self? So it's like source mirroring source, God mirroring God, the divine mirroring the divine. All right, so I just got confirmation that the sound is good. So thank you. So if anything ever happens to the sound or the video, just, let me know. Um, okay, so I think to continue, let's start with, it's interesting, right? So with consciousness, there is it's like a spiral, right? So it's like we're clearing and we're healing, but it goes in a spiral. So if you hit like a pain body moment, which I hit yesterday, I hit a pain body moment. I get really upset when I hear that a young person has killed themselves. So whatever the details are of why or how, or is it accidental or did they mean to, but it is a huge loss. And it is, they are light workers. They are source emanated beings. So the reptilians and the Draco reptilians are not killing themselves. Okay, you're the target. The non-player characters, the ones that do not have a source spark, we're just meant to leave them alone. They're on Instagram showing us how fabulous their lives are, how perfect everything is, and how easy everything is, and how their life is a daily vacation. And they're there to kind of like, not to inspire us, they're actually there to instigate shame. They're there to instigate loneliness. Like my life doesn't look like that, and I hear that from the people that are in their 20s and their 30s, their life isn't like that. and if they do travel, there's like psychic attacks, there's interference, there's, a lot happens on their vacations. And so what is kind of being presented to me is, the overall picture is like exactly what the false light is wanting to create. It's wanting to present an image of perfection that you can achieve this too. You just have to be like me, like them, like this empty person. They're empty. And, human source emanated beings, like heart-based beings, they're fleshy, they're imperfect, they're roundish, you know? Like when you start seeing, all of the Hollywood people and they're so angular. They have no roundness to them. They're stiff, they're angular, they're sharp, their features are sharp, their bones are sharp, their bodies are to the bone, and they're showing us this as like, this is the guide, this is the perfection. But it actually, they can't help it because they're made. And so by using our discernment, that is what is so tricky, is not judging, right? Not interfering. The non-player characters, we're not meant to do anything with them. We're just supposed to basically ignore them, right? And then not buy the Kool-Aid that they're selling, not buy the clothing that they're telling us to buy, not buying the plastic clothing that they're telling us to buy, or the plastic bags that have logos that cost like thousands of dollars, so that we can be like them. Like, you know, it's really tricky for the 20-year-olds, because they're doing everything. They're putting like glue on their eyelashes and their eyes are getting infected by these eyelashes, you know, and other stuff. They're having a lot of plastic surgery. They're doing a lot to emulate, this image that is being sold as the ideal. So I guess the big challenge on Earth is just discerning what and who everyone is, but also not judging. So as soon as you judge, then your whole frequency goes to the lowest frequency, which is their frequency. So they hope you judge. They hope you get jealous. They hope that you feel envious. They hope that they want all of that so that your frequency lowers. And then that's basically the goal, so that you feel bad about your body, or you feel bad that you don't have this designer bag, or you feel bad that you don't have these eyelashes that are going to infect your eyeballs, your eyes. They want you to feel badly. They're showing you their plastic surgery, their befores and their afters. It's fine if you choose to have plastic surgery, but know, why are you doing it? And has your brain even fully developed? So yesterday that really hit like a pain body. So to me, it's always the children, right? It's seeing the children getting harmed because they're so targeted. And I was told in 2024, in April 2024, that the majority of the conscious are the 16 years and younger. So that would be 18. And this person that died, and we got the announcement yesterday that they died, they were 16 on the way to 17, right? So the effects of buying into the archonic system is intense. And so yesterday I hit a pain body moment because it affected the children. And then it took a while for me to shift it. And, the thing is with the children is that they're coming in high dimensional frequencies, 5 to 7D, but they're probably surrounded by 2 or 3 reptilians and Draco reptilians that are in like the family, or in the immediate environment. And they're meeting them at school as teachers or as coaches, or as like, they're having a part-time job and they're meeting them in their part-time jobs. And their main job is to convince light workers to destroy themselves. That's the main goal. And if you don't destroy yourself, then to stay at a low frequency of shame, fear, and guilt all the time, right? So it's like seeing the system, and then when the pain body activates, acknowledging that is the pain body. And I do have a soft spot for the children. And I was one of those children, those targeted children. And yet on the outside, it looked like, I was popular and I had a good, whatever, family. It's just garbage, right? It's like when you tell the truth of the real story, as opposed to the facade, and you hear what really happens behind closed doors. So, yeah. But anyway, so yesterday it felt a big loss for that young, they're still children, that young, they're wanting to make them adults, but they're still young and they're very vulnerable. And unless they have a very protective, conscious light worker, parent, or guardian, their life is very precarious. But I always say, like, just keep trying. And that's what the decree is really there. It's really there to help clear the interference so that you can see who you are. And you can find out what your taste is and find out where you want to live or where you want to work. All right, so let's arrive here in the present moment. The body is home, connecting to source consciousness in the internal body. Connecting to the compass. And take a deep breath in. And I guess I just want to, as light workers, we can do this. I want to acknowledge the light workers that have killed themselves, because 3D Earth is horrific and it's shifting. But for those sensitive light beings, it is absolute madness. And that's what we're doing here. As we clear the interference for ourselves, we're also clearing the interference for the other generations. And that is Lightworkers' work. As we stabilize our frequency, then we actually help hundreds of thousands of others, of other light workers. And actually, it doesn't take that many light workers where like 3D could just kind of like, what I saw this morning is that just would turn into like a vacuum and it would just kind of like crumple, right? And then it would just stay at that 5D frequency. So it's like, 5D frequency isn't another planet, is not somewhere else. It's a state of being. It is a frequency. And just like 3D is a state of frequency, 3D is a state of frequency of fear, shame, guilt, anxiety, depression, very low, like the lowest of, the lowest before death. You're almost dead, but you're not quite dead. That's 3D. I can feel my throat starting to close, so I'm going to speak it. So I want to claim and name a petition for the children as light workers, that are in peril, that are having a hard time living in a 3D body. And I want it named and claimed in the Akashic Records, the Book of Life, and Thoth, the Cosmic Records. And I claim these young light workers that are struggling to stay in a 3D body. I claim them in Source's name under the law of grace, right? So we don't want to interfere with anyone's free will. So under the law of grace and under the law of one. So under the law of one, meaning that we are all one, that's 5D consciousness, is that heart-based consciousness where, if one hurts, we all hurt. And then, so I'm just waiting for affirmation. So Thoth, basically, he will travel like through all of the pathways to if he says yes, then the petition has been accepted. And so he has to check everything. They have to check the records. They have to see, basically they have to see how many light workers are also asking. What I'm petitioning for is the safety of the young children. And so that are struggling, that are almost kind of like at death. And then we want to give them a boost so that they survive. And then they're not so overwhelmed by their circumstances of 3D. So we're just waiting for a confirmation from Thoth. He's checking. Just releasing. Yeah. Yeah, we call upon source consciousness to bring in the golden light of source. We call in divine presence. We call in our higher self of only unconditional love. And we ask for only truth, unconditional love, and pure source energy to flow through us all now and release all lower vibrations. Okay, so I just heard it's going to take a while. But see, as soon as one petitions, we make a petition. So I made a petition for the children. Then many are also saying, hey, what's happening with the children? And then the more of us say, hey, what's happening with the children? And then yesterday was a tragic event happened. Then it propels light. So basically when we say, hey, I want source to highlight this area, this is getting out of hand, the children are helpless and it's been going on for too long and they need help. And so that's the petition. I guess to make it more articulate, they're saying, well, what is it that you're asking for? And I'm asking for the protection of the children, but I'm also asking for help to boost the children that are in the low 3D and that they are struggling. And they're struggling staying in a 3D body. They're struggling staying here on Earth. And even with Earth transitioning, they are struggling. And so I am calling a petition to Thoth and to the Akashic Records to have this recorded, that they are struggling and that the young are dying, and they're dying. They are light workers that are dying. They're not the reptilians, or not the Draco reptilians, because those are not emanated from source. They are made, they are synthetic, and they are not non-player characters, because non-player characters, there's no judgment, but they are made. They are synthetic. They are not source sparked. And so it is the source sparked beings, the young children, that are dying. And they're dying because they are completely overwhelmed. And so I'm petitioning on behalf of the children today for source consciousness to give a boost to the children, to help the children. And also, I want it recorded that the light workers that are children, that are struggling, that are close to death, that they are given support and help. So I'm petitioning for them, but under the law of grace and under the law of one, without interfering with anyone's soul. But I'm inviting in source consciousness, our higher selves, our guides of unconditional love, the angels of unconditional love, the archangels of unconditional love, to come and help. And I want it documented in the cosmic records with Thoth that I have filed this petition. And I want it updated also in the Akashic Records. So we revoke all false soul contracts. We reject the light trap, only aligning with God's source divine presence. And that we call in the petition that everyone remembers who they are, and that they stay in their power and they mean it, even if they're young, even if they're little. Collapse all mimic timelines, revoke all false contracts, realigning only with source through sovereign command. We speak as one. One heart, one consciousness. So allowing presence to flow through us. I'm just asking Thoth if the petition has been received and updated in the cosmic records. Confirmed. Thank you. So if the cosmic records have been updated, then those are the big records. Those are the main records I have found. I have studied the Akashic Records and updating the Akashic Records, and we do update the Akashic Records. We update the Tapestry of All Souls, which I'm not sure. I have to look into that more, but for me, it's something that was created. But the main ones are the Akashic Records, and then the Cosmic Records have kind of the records of all time spaces, but embodied in this life now. Okay, thank you everybody for being here, for being the witnesses for that petition. And that's something that we can do as light workers. We can actually highlight things. We can highlight things and ask and name it, and then ask it to be documented in the cosmic records and the Akashic records to be updated. That it's basically like a call to order, a call for change, a call for like naming what is. All right, let's see. Senija says, hello, Elaine. Hello, everyone. Double hearts. Thank you, Senija. Thank you for being here and joining. Senija, she, her, 1973. I've been doing clearing, sealing, and claiming my daily space, my body, technology, etc. Despite that, I've been having snakes in my dreams for many nights now. Okay, that's interesting. All right, and then Senija says, I have a phobia of snakes, and can you please ask my higher self what is the meaning of the snakes and to clear the phobia? Much love and gratitude. Okay. I'm just going to look at so Senija's asked a question, so we'll get to Senija. So I'm just going to look at the rest of the chat. So Helen is here. Hi, Helen. Hi, Helen. Helen says, hi, Elaine, and hi, Senija. A heart with a cross in it. So a healing heart. And then Senija says, so this is just kind of, I'm just going to look at the chat overall, looking at all the messages, and then I'll kind of answer questions one by one. So Senija said, sorry, I tuned in late. We'll listen from the beginning. Okay, thanks, Senija. And then Senija says, thank you so much for doing the petition, and then lots of hearts in all colors. Beautiful. Thank you. And then Senija says, the Tapestry of All Souls to be updated as well. Yeah, the Tapestry of All Souls is something that was created by Dolores Cannon. And she also always said that the Tapestry of All Souls cannot be changed or updated. And I do not believe that is true. So I don't know. I know about the Akashic Records and I know about the Cosmic Records with Thoth, but I do not know about the validity of the Tapestry of All Souls. I do include it in the decree because I was trained in quantum hypnosis, but the more sessions I do, the more I just keep pointing to the Akashic Records and the Cosmic Records with Thoth, kind of complete everything. There's the Book of Life as well. So yeah. Yeah, Senija said that with All Souls. So yeah. And then Senija asks, can you please ask my higher self about the Tapestry of All Souls and can it be dismantled? It sounds to me like a spider web trap. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you're having that same feeling about the tapestry. Okay, and then Senija says many thanks with pink hearts. Okay, so Senija has a couple questions. They're good questions. They're good questions for all light workers. Okay, so all light workers. So the umbrella of light workers is anybody that is an empath, anyone that has felt like the black sheep or has been targeted, like that has been so good, but targeted by so many people. Okay, that's what happens to light workers. They get targeted here on 3D Earth. And then anyone that would think of themselves as like a starseed or, all comes under the umbrella of a light worker. And then, but it's all under free will choice, right? So, okay, so let's go with Senija's first question. So Senija's first question is, okay, it's really interesting. Light workers have two phobias that show up in so many sessions. I'm just adjusting the camera a bit. Snakes and spiders. Those are the two phobias. Snakes and spiders. Okay, let's have a little bit of water. Actually, this is coconut juice. Oh, I mean coconut water. Actually, I'm gonna have some more. Energy work is dehydrating because you're clearing what isn't yours. So make sure to hydrate. I love the taste of coconut water. If I went somewhere that had like coconuts, I would just drink coconut water. I love it that much. I'd be like, just having coconuts. Okay. So Senija, she, her, 1973. I've been doing lots of clearing. He's sealing, claiming daily my space, my body, technology, etc. Despite that, I've been having snakes in my dreams for many nights now. I have a phobia of snakes. Can you please ask my higher self what is the meaning of the snakes and to clear the phobia? Much love and gratitude. Okay, and I got some hearts sent, so I'm just going to send some hearts back. Thanks for being here. And thanks for joining live. Okay, so there's two questions from Senija, but let's ask the first one. The first one is about snakes. Let's find out what is the origination of the snakes, but also why are they showing up in her dreams? She's done all the decrees. So we've done up to part 14 of the decree, and Senija has done all of them. But besides that, she has, Senija is very accomplished. She's done a lot herself. She has done, she has been working. Okay. All right, let's connect to Senija's higher self. We're asking for all guidance to be from source consciousness through the heart and divine presence. And only information that is for Senija's highest and greatest good. Under the law of grace, under the law of one. So right away, we're doing some clearing for Senija. They're saying from the sacral, the second chakra, the second energy chakra. They're doing some clearing right away. Okay, so the first thing is, your higher self is really proud of you. Duh. You've done so much work, Senija. So your higher self wants to say, and team of unconditional love, right? Because there's not just one, there's many that show up. So they said there's at least 50 now for Senija here present. So the snake connects the woman, the divine feminine, with the original sin, which is false. So the snake, they're saying the snake, the serpent, well, it's two things are coming through. So they're saying that sneaky snake, the serpent they've named it like a sneaky snake, but the serpent and the image of the serpent is also the symbol of the healer. Yeah, they're saying that what's getting activated in Senija right now is what is getting activated is her own inner healer. And so that's what happens when the interference clears, then the real you emerges, right? The real light bang emerges. So they're saying what's getting activated is the divine healer in Senija. And the snake is kind of showing, where's the fear still? Where is the resistance still? And where is it still difficult to let go? So they're helping with the sacral chakra to help to let go. And just now, an eagle just flew past the window, right? So they're wanting to go into that higher perspective. Like the eagles are like the messengers. So the message is they're saying what is getting activated is for Senija's inner healer. So don't be afraid. And they're just saying, snakes have been given a bad rap, but spiders haven't, it is accurate. The fear of the spiders is accurate because spiders are synthetic. They kind of like the web of, that expression, the web of lies. Spiders create webs. So okay, they're just saying we could kind of talk about spiders, but they're like, we're not going to talk about it with Senija. So we're just going to focus on the snakes. So the snakes, so just know in this life now, the snake represents the healing and the snake represents the shedding of the old skin. So the old is being removed and it feels kind of yucky because the thing is, a lot of these interferences and installations have been there for eons, they're saying, like lifetimes. So, but they're getting released, removed. They're getting discarded, ejected. So it's like what's happening right now for Senija is like unraveling, it's like maybe in this life, this part was very not so intense, but in another life, it was really intense. So they're kind of like unwinding it. So kind of like a snake shedding its skin. So is there like another image that would be maybe more friendly for Senija? Yeah, they just said you can focus like the overview of like the eagle. You can go to the overview, like or the eye view of an eagle. Just don't look in all of the details. Look at kind of like the overview. So the higher perspective, they're saying, like align yourself with, God source, divine presence, and then connect to that, the higher overview, like an eagle's eye view. That's what they're saying. Eagle's eye view. So, and seeing isn't just it's not just visual, it's relational. So you're seeing it, they're saying, see it now from a higher point of view and then just allow the shedding to happen, right? So we're saying if the shedding, like the snake skin is for Senija's highest and greatest good, then the answer is yes. If it is not for Senija's highest and greatest good, we are saying no, but we're saying no with God source divine presence. Okay. Yeah. So it's only for your highest and greatest good. And they're basically like, what they're saying is they're releasing what's no longer working in your field. And so what is not working in your field, they're releasing, so that the body feels available, the body feels free, the body feels like you can take action, you can move, you can, advocate for yourself, through that pure source energy. and then releasing all the lower vibrations, not being stuck in the muck anymore, where you're looping, repeat, 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 They're like, no more repeats, no more recursion. They're like spiral. It's like clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing, and then just see things from an eagle eyes view. Yeah. And then you're going to feel like you've got like clear sight. You're going to feel grounded. You're going to have both. You're going to feel like you can see, but also that you're very grounded. The body is inhabited. And then there is no room, for what I call like the sneaky snakes, right? But these snakes are showing you the transformation. They're showing you that you're literally shedding old skins from all time spaces. And if you don't like the images of the snakes, you can just see it from an eagle eye view and see it through the eyes, kind of from that higher view of the eagle. Yeah. And just clearing. And you just focus on like, God's source is like the eternal living light of God's source, divine presence. And basically, what is no longer working in your field is getting expelled. So it's not a request. You're not saying, oh, can you please leave? It's like expelled. It's like, leave now. And that's what the snake is representing is, yeah, I get the angel goosebumps. The snakes are representing the actual transformation, like literally shedding skin that no longer belongs to you, or even those skins that interfered with you. And everything that is not for your highest and greatest good is getting removed, released. But it's for healing. It's for healing. Because snakes can also be the symbol for healing, the healer. Yeah. So thank you. So let's just close this. Let me just not ask, but let me look at Senija here. So sending hearts. So Senija says many thanks. Oh, I think that was from before. Senija says she's having goosebumps. Yeah, so me too. Add those as well. And then Senija says her counselor said the same thing as the higher self. That's great. So that's double confirmation, right? You're not just, it is being confirmed because it is alive in your field, right? So, and then transformation and healing. Yeah. And releasing what is no longer for your highest and greatest good, right? And then looking at the big picture from the overview. So you can actually move freely in your life without being, held back by other time spaces. That's really good. I'm glad your counselor affirmed the same thing. That is really great. Those double confirmations or triple confirmations, are great because then they start giving you like that boost of confidence, like, oh yeah, I knew this answer before I even asked the question, and you're just getting the question as you're getting this answer just as a confirmation, but you've already received the answer. So that's great. Good job, Senija. Okay, so let's close that question for Senija. Sending lots of hearts, lots of love. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so the next, so Senija, she, her, 1973. And, just I want to acknowledge your bravery. You're always putting yourself out there. You're asking the questions that I know many people are asking, and you're using your name and you're like, I'm putting myself forward. So that's really great. I got this new light. And for this side, it has more of a shadow because this side has a big window. And I'm not sure, I can see the reflection in my glasses and I don't particularly like it. So anyways, we'll see how I do with it. I'm not a professional lighting person, so I only can play. I can only tinker. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so Senija, she heard 1973. Also, her next question, can you please ask my higher self about the Tapestry of All Souls? And that originated from Dolores Cannon's work. Can it be dismantled? And it sounds like a spider web trap. Okay, let's take a look. So can you please ask the higher self about the Tapestry of All Souls, which originated with Dolores Cannon's work, and can it be dismantled? It sounds to me like a spider web trap. So that is true Lightworker work, right? Because Senija's asking this for the collective, right? So she's putting it out there because both of us have been trained in quantum hypnosis, QHHT, Dolores Cannon's method, and I've actually been trained in another beyond quantum hypnosis, BQH. And they basically, Candace broke away from QHHT saying that you can do quantum hypnosis online. And then she also acknowledged that there's energies and entities that are not for your highest and greatest good, and that you need to really vet and ask, who's speaking, what is happening, because your eyes are closed and the practitioner doesn't actually exactly know what's going on unless you are super verbal, Okay, let's look at the Tapestry of All Souls. Can it be dismantled? So first, let's ask about the Tapestry of All Souls with Dolores Cannon's work. What is the intention of the Tapestry of All Souls? So the intention of the Tapestry of All Souls is to create a loop, meaning Dolores Cannon said that the Tapestry of All Souls cannot be updated. And in one of my quantum hypnosis sessions, before I even had all the information about quantum hypnosis and Dolores Cannon's work, just adjusting the camera again. I said, if as a light body, as a light worker, and it's a light body thread, then if I want it removed and I petition for it to be removed, then it should be able to be removed. Right? Like, is the tapestry source, right? Is the tapestry God? Is the tapestry of only unconditional love? Like, what is the intention of the tapestry? Right? So those are my questions. So what is the intention of the tapestry? And right away, it is to trap souls, right? So if we're told that it cannot be updated, that we cannot petition for the release of something, and then we're trapped forever. They love that. Oh, you're trapped forever. We're going to pretend that we're God and we're going to trap you forever. So I got some 100% there. So is the tapestry a real book of records? No. The tapestry's intention is set up to create a loop, a closed loop, and so that you can't update it, that you cannot change it. And what does that mean? Right? You're trapped. So they're saying you can use it if you want to be trapped. They're funny. They're like, everything as a soul, as an emanated soul from source, your divine consciousness is always asking questions, is always asking for verification. Is this true? Is this real? Is this for the highest and greatest good? Is this fair? Like, that's discernment. And that is the job of a light worker, to take the status quo and to ask questions. When they say something and it doesn't sit right, like for Senija, it didn't sit right because she said that she felt that, can't remember, that it was like connected to a web, like a spider's web. Like, that's what she was asking. It's actually, she's saying, getting 100% in the chat. It's actually a good description, the spider web, because it's created like a web, and it's created like the circular recursion, do over, do over, do over. You can't update it. You can't petition your higher self, source consciousness, God, source, divine presence. You cannot petition to have it updated or to change or to even question it. Like, is this accurate? Is this mine? Who put it there? In the Egyptian expression, and that's why I think the Egyptian timeline has been timeless, right? Still, the structures are still there, protected, where so much has been bombed and destroyed, but they're still there, right? They always ask, Priestess Mat. Priestess Mat is, the heart is on one side and the feather is on another. And so they're verifying, is it true? Like, is the heart pure? Is the heart present? Is the heart connected to source, right? So what is happening to the heart? Yeah. They call that the weighing of the heart, the weighing of your heart. So, but they're saying it's very accurate. It's heart-based beings that are being trapped in the tapestry, like a spider web of recursion. And that's why, Dolores Cannon, for whatever, 55 years in the work that she did, says you cannot change it, and we're trained to believe that the tapestry of all souls cannot be updated and cannot be changed. And then we, as practitioners, we reiterate that until somebody questions it, and Senija's questioning it. And that's Lightworkers' work. That's what we're here to do, right? Because, they need us. So say the guides of unconditional love, the angels of unconditional love, the high vibrational beings of unconditional love. So in service to source, in service, right? Like Lightworkers in service. Like, that's what we're here to do, because if we're in a 3D body and we do a petition or we ask a question or we question a status quo, then a lot of source light can come in and then it can be looked at. And then that's really Lightworkers' work. That's amazing. Like, look at all the jobs we did today. Really sad job with the children, right? And then also this, that lots of people believe that the Tapestry of All Souls cannot be updated. And then they're kind of trapped in this kind of spider web of recursion. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's take a look at the chat. Oh, Senija says, I didn't know that about BQH. So I'm guessing what she's saying is, so BQH you can do online. QHHT, Dolores Cannon method, QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, which Senija and I have both been trained in. And I've also have BQH. So I can see the difference. In BQH, she acknowledges vetting and questioning to see, is it the higher self and who is speaking and who is coming through? And she acknowledges that there are entities or dark forces that are not benevolent and that you can question them in the session, and that it is safe to do it online in Zoom. So I've done both, but I still, from what I've learned now, is the most safe is eyes open. And if something is already in your field, it will reveal itself. Like in Senija with her dream with the snakes, it was already revealing, like the transformation is already revealing itself. Like your higher self will give you the dreams, the repetition dreams, the dreams just before you awaken. It will always answer a question, right away, not later. Guides of unconditional love come in right away. They don't come in slowly or to the side or in a weird kind of way. They are like present, they come in, you call them, they come in fast. But if they're dodgy, they're weird, and that's the same thing that I found in BQH. Like if something came in, the voice changed, the personality changed, something, it was just like, go away, just like get lost. You're not here for their highest and greatest good, like get going, and they'll usually, and it's like, no, you're not the boss of this space. Like the client is the boss of the space, and where the intention is no interference. And then, just, get them out of here. It's like you can be more bossy in BQH, and also in BQH, you can also change the dialogue. So if you feel, with Dolores Cannon's work, QHHT, we have to, what we promise is when we do a QHHT session is that we say the words verbatim for what Dolores, and people always want to change the words, but they say if you do a QHHT session, you have to say it verbatim. And lots of people, and this is what Candace found, and that's why she started BQH and split off from QHHT, is she just found that they were lying. People were saying, oh yeah, I'm just following Dolores's script, and then they're doing whatever they want. Because how's the client going to know? Like with QHHT, you're supposed to only have one session, or Dolores Cannon said you only need one session. And so really, how would the client know if the practitioner is saying the words exactly the way Dolores said? So a lot of QHHT practitioners just do their own thing. And then, they want us to tell on each other and tell you, oh, well, that person isn't doing doing it the right way. But the client's never going to know. They never, the client doesn't, is in hypnosis in theta brain. Like they're like, their body is super relaxed. Like they don't know, so it really is by honor. And so for me, I had to remove myself in January 2026 because I am not going to speak the QHHT language. I'm not going to say it verbatim the way Dolores Cannon wants us to speak. And I had a lot of sessions. I've had over like 100 quantum hypnosis sessions. So I had a lot of experience in 2 years. So, and I saw a lot, but really eyes open in your body so that that you can actually tell me, what is going on, and I can see what's going on, because everything that you need to heal and clear is already in your field. because it's ready to be released, it's ready to be acknowledged. So that's the kind of difference between the two types of quantum hypnosis. So whereas Candace said, look, people are adults, these are practitioners, they're light workers, they're healers, they're energy workers, they they have like a mission, and so she's like, you can use your own language, you can change it. There's a script, I think she's copyrighted it, but when I asked about, because I think she went to court, and don't quote me, but either she took QHHT to court or QHHT threatened her so that she didn't start her own thing. And what I heard is Candace took on Goliath and won. And then she started her own, and it's called BQH, Beyond Quantum Hypnosis. Okay. So that's next. Okay, and then Helen has, let's just look and see. Okay, so Senija has another question about spiders. Okay, and then Senija, just to wrap up, yeah, so to look at the bigger picture, yeah, and transformation and healing. That's the images of the snake. So that's just for Senija, and then just looking at the chat. And Senija says, oh, Senija says, on my side, I can't see the hearts you're sending, so don't bother. Instead, I'm happy with acknowledgement. Okay, so I'll verbally say it. I'm sending hearts. And then that's so interesting. Like only I can see that I'm sending hearts. That's so funny. Because if somebody sends hearts or 100%, I do see it. So Senija says she's crying right now. It feels like the souls want to be dismantled. Yeah. Yeah. Senija says, I claim the freedom and the sovereignty of all light workers that are being trapped in the tapestry of all souls now. Yeah. And that's what we can kind of do as light workers. All we have to do is just say, look, we need this looked into. And then if many, like I've done it before for, like Mary and I did one session where we were both like, we've been eating all day, and then it's like 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, and we're starving and we have to eat. And we know we're not starving, and we know, um, uh, and so we did kind of like, we looked into it. We did like a petition, basically. Let's look into what is happening with this like intense hunger that comes in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night after you have eaten during the day and everything, So it's like, we know from Chinese medicine, our bodies, by 7 o'clock are going into like the kidneys are processing, and we're going into that relax, starting with the theta brain state, like going into the relaxed state, you know and eating takes a lot of energy. So I love food, and I love, energy more than food, but I love food. So we looked into it, and then basically we saw that what we were shown is that the Anunnaki from 4D have done this kind of electrical kind of prods, and then they're like prod us, and then they're like, like cattle get prodded to go in a certain direction. They prod us like, you need to eat, you're hungry, and so we basically, did a petition for that. And then it was funny. I mean, not so funny, but we both got super hungry afterwards. Like we got more hungry. So we did the petition, and then it accelerated even more hunger, but now it's corrected itself. So, but once you do like a clearing and a release and a petition, sometimes, I call it like they have like a fit, they have like a temper tantrum because they know something that they maybe worked on for eons is being dismantled, and it's being dismantled because, one of us have said, hey, look at this, like what's going on with this. And then it's, but obviously it's not for our highest and greatest good to be kind of have electrical currents just releasing, having electrical currents that prod us against our will, against our consent, to be like, eat, 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 you're starving, you're so hungry, you're so starving. That's kind of the messages that were coming through, and they happen fast, zoom, like, and then Mary and I said, okay, well, let's, in quantum connectors, let's look at this together, and then let's see what's going on. So we did. So Mary and I have done lots of big missions together. Okay. Let's see. Senija says, I claim the freedom and sovereignty of all light workers that are being trapped in the Tapestry of All Souls now. So yeah, and she's crying now. It feels like the souls want to be dismantled. Yeah, of course, right? Like, we don't want to be going, like, we're not stupid, we don't want to repeat, we don't want to date the same guy over and over again, like break up with him and then date the exact same thing and then date, or marry the exact same thing. Like, we don't want the recursion, and we were sold a lie that the recursion is like karma. It's like, that's not karma, recursion is an implementation that has trapped light workers in 3D. Yeah, and Senija says tears of release. Yeah, good. And then in the chat, looking at the chat, Helen says she sees the hearts. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so maybe is Helen on a computer and maybe Senija, you're on a phone or a tablet? Maybe is that the difference? We'll find out. Anyways, I just sent more hearts. So thanks, really good questions. And Senija says, oh my God, I eat late too on a full stomach, laugh out loud, love food too, working on not eating late. Yeah, exactly. So, and Helen says she's on her phone and Senija says she's on her phone. Yeah, so I don't know. Senija can't see the hearts that I send, but Helen can see the hearts that I send, and they're both on phones. So I'm guessing on iPhones or Android. Okay. Let's take a look. Okay, Senija, you had a question about spiders. Now that you've started, can you please ask my higher self about spiders and their meaning? Okay, let's look at, yeah, so Senija says one of her children has a fear of them. Yeah, I've seen it in sessions so many times, this fear of spider. I am not a fan myself. I remember moving into this house that had like all these wolf spiders, and I was just like, who has been living in this house? Like, it was like an infestation. It was like they were like on the house, they were in the house. It was so gross. It was like the most disgusting experience ever. But they also are drawn to like a frequency, like that they're like low 3D. But I know so many light workers that are just terrified of spiders, repulsed by spiders. And, one light worker, and actually her connection is like a goddess with the unicorns are coming forward, the unicorns. Now the frequency is high enough on Earth with our 3D bodies that the unicorns are actually coming forward. And it is tough if you are from the frequency of the unicorns, which is pure unconditional love, and they've rarely been in a 3D body. It's really tough, 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 tough. So, do the decree. I know I keep saying it, but do the decree. Remember the decree. All you're doing with the decree is that you are severing cords. you're clearing your energetic body, mind, spirit, like all of it. You're revoking what is not yours and you're reclaiming what is yours, right? It's very simple, but you're stating it and you're naming it and you're writing it and you're burning it, and when we say it 3 times, the first fold, the one piece of paper, we're stating, okay, our identity. And then the second fold, we're stating our sovereignty. And then the third fold, we're stating our frequency, right? So it's like we're reclaiming what is ours and we are standing firm. Like if you are not for my highest and greatest good, you've got to go. Okay, let's take a look quickly into spiders and see what the higher selves want to say about the spider. So we'll use Senija 1973. Okay, so asking about spiders, what's the purpose of spiders? So the spiders are a mechanical tool of interference. So the spiders mirror kind of the exterior interference is actually mimics the interior interference. It's like a web. The interference is like a web, a woven like interface, or sometimes when like an interference is ejected, you'll kind of see from the corner of your eyes like a little spider or something like that. I've had that experience, and it means that that whole template has been ejected, which is a good thing. Right? So if it's not for your highest and greatest good, it needs to go, and it has been ejected. And I saw it eject out of my right eye. And then as soon as that happened, like my seeing accelerated. But my question for my intention was that I was asking for in January, I asked for an acceleration. Well, December 31st, to be accurate, 2025, I asked for an acceleration. And then January, February, March were like super big acceleration. So, and then that's when the Seer and Higher Self doing the YouTube lives awakened, and then also doing the decree awakened, and then how to do the decree online, and then so that it's available to everybody, because everybody deserves to be sovereign and free and to remove whatever interference. And it's, beyond money, beyond time, you can do this in your own home, in your own space, which is really good because, we need to claim our bodies, in Source's name, and also our spaces in Source's name. So the spiders are like tech. They are like an interwoven interference. And then as you are removing what is not for your highest good, they get ejected, basically. And what I saw actually was this big spider on 3D Earth, this big spider, and then God's hand, speaking of dreams, God's hand removing, it was like a black spider, and was just removing it off of 3D Earth. Like they're like tentacles. And then I asked, how long does this take? Like for this interference, this interwoven interference to be removed. And the message I got was God said, for the mercy, right? For the mercy of heart-based souls, it's 2 years. The spider could be removed like now, but for the mercy of our comfort, right? So that we're not in so much shock. And that's why the decrees really help to kind of like get us releasing things stage by stage, because imagine like Eckhart Tolle, his awakening was complete in a second, and how shocking that would be for his body. And then he said he didn't really know what to do for 2 years, so he sat on a bench just being, because he didn't know what happened to him. He awakened in the 70s. He's 78 now. So he awakened when he was 29, and that was in the 70s. So, he didn't really know he was in England and he didn't know, he was a university student, he didn't know what happened to him. So the decrees do the removal, step by step, right? So that we're not in that big shock. But what I saw in the dream is God just says, yeah, for our comfort, So that was 2026, so 2027. So a lot of these interwoven interference systems, which are mirrored outside by the spider and the spider web, they're all getting kind of dismantled. If you choose and if you want, right? So it is a choice, but your higher self will always lead you to remove interference. Because you're always wanting to go back to your original design, your original soul blueprint from source, your original DNA from source, your original crystalline being from source. So, like, our bodies will always be guiding us to healing and releasing and noticing, what is not, like, what is in our field and then what is not ours. Yeah. Okay, so and Senija says, so shall we claim update the tapestry from now on or not when we do the decree? Yeah, I've been wondering that. And the reason I've added it in the decree is because so many people have had, especially light workers, like who else is going to have quantum hypnosis session, right? It's not going to be the reptilians. It's not the Draco reptilians. It's not the NPCs. It's the light workers, right? So I feel like, they were told that the tapestry cannot be updated. And so then I was wondering, do I just keep, then the message that I received was to keep it in updating it because we've named it and it basically puts a lot of light on the tapestry, which is like a false light. So we put like source's light on this like contraption. So they're saying that putting a spotlight on the contraption is always good. So that's why I've kept it. Because it's your higher self that's updating the tapestry, and your higher self, if you give your higher self consent, then your higher self is the boss. Your higher self just needs your consent to intervene. And Helen said she just did a decree today and it was heavy. Oh, okay. Which decree did you do, Helen? And they are heavy because you're not just releasing them from this life and this body, but all time space. So you don't even have to believe in past lives, but all time space kind of covers it. So all time space away from source. Okay, so let's look at Helen's question. Helen, okay, I was wondering if you could clear my chakras dealing with negative projections at work and would like to be balanced dealing with this coworker. Thank you. Yeah, and I will be doing, actually, I wrote I always write like possible decrees, but one is if you own your own business and then any interference with that. And then another one is with your career. So yeah, exactly, coworkers. Clear chakras and dealing with negative projections at work and would like to be balanced dealing with coworkers. Thank you. Yeah, that's really important because a lot of them say you don't have any what the dark triad in your family, but then they're at work. They're at the airport, they're at your travel destination. It's like, so the most important thing is like that you don't want to be if you stay at 5D frequency, then you're not even in their zone. You know, they can't even see you, basically. Okay, so let's clear the field I'm hearing. Let's clear, 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 clear. Okay, so Helen, 1982. She, her. Okay, so Helen is asking to clear her chakras. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, right away they're saying, yeah, affirm. So affirm meaning yes, clear chakras. So they're noticing the chakra that is out of balance is the power chakra, which is the solar plexus, which is yellow. So that's usually a hard one for light workers because because they've experienced power over. The solar plexus chakra in balance is not power over, it is holding power, meaning you don't let people mistreat you, that you don't allow yourself to be bullied, you don't, kind of what they call fawn, which is, or collapse, just to make the peace, that kind of thing. So you hold your own power, meaning like, if you can heal, then everyone can heal and everyone has their free will choice to heal. And then also a balanced solar plexus is also seeing things as they are and not how you want them to be, and also not how you've been instructed. So we're just there, they a thread. So there was a thread. Okay, so there was like an energy, but how they showed it to me was there was like a thread on my shirt that I can pull out, So basically that's what they said. They said there was like an interfering thread for Helen and that it can just be pulled out, like a string, like a cord. So because it kind of like what they're saying is it hurts Helen's heart. Like, why does it have to be this way? Why is there jealousy? Why is there competition? Why do people have to be so difficult? And that is very typical of light workers and empaths because we want everyone to get along because where we're from, everyone gets along. Right? So if you're in service to source consciousness, we know at a heart-based level that we're all one and that we're all here to help each other. And then encounter the dark triad, the administrators for 4D, the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, and they're not like, they're just releasing and clearing. And they're not so rare, like we're told it's this weirdo in the basement. It's not. It's these people are in power positions. They're the school principals, the school superintendents, the vice principals, the CEOs, the CFOs, the bank owners, the bank managers. Okay. So they said they pulled it out. So they said it's going to feel a bit like unwindy, and especially in Helen's back, it's like they're kind of unwinding it. But basically, like they pulled it out, and then basically it works like a spiral where it removes it to kind of the interference is removed right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation. And that's what they're doing right now. They're just kind of removing it. And what is the exact thread? Like the exact thread is like, when you have a migraine and it hurts to see, like light hurts, it's kind of like that. Like it hurts Helen's eyes to see things and to see people's bad behavior. It hurts her eyes like a migraine. It's like, it's like her solar plexus is like it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way people are supposed to behave. And it's true, right? But it's true on 5D, but it's not true for 3D. 3D is carnage. 3D is convoluted. Like Dolores Cannon will always say, the universe is convoluted. It's like 3D is convoluted. Like we're told, that we're all the same on Earth. They're like, wanted to kick that out. We're told that we're all the same and it's not true, right? So it's like, and the children are so confused because the children are seeing things as they are. Like I saw things as they are. I would see people and I would say they're empty. They don't have a soul. I wasn't judging. I was seeing it accurately, and then I was told, oh, you're so judgmental. Oh, you shouldn't say things like that. And I'm like confused, I'm 8 and I'm totally confused because I'm seeing it. And then I'm being told that not to see it or I'm not seeing it accurately, right? It creates so much confusion. It's not a judgment to see things as they are. It doesn't mean that you have to go into action, and point a finger. Like I'm not going around pointing fingers saying you're an NPC and you're a Draco reptilian and you're a reptilian. I'm not doing that, but I'm noticing it for myself, for my own discernment, so that I'm not marrying a Draco reptilian. I'm not marrying a reptilian and that they're not in my friendships, like my friendships now are so peaceful because there's none around me. And there's no NPCs around me, like when I'm around an NPC, I like feel bananas. I'm like the emptiness, just like I have to just be like, I have to accept it, because it's shocking. It's so shocking to see the emptiness in the eyes and the emptiness in the body. It's like, oh, it's such a shock. So they're just clearing your aura right now. They're just using my hand, Helen. So they're just clearing your aura, just starting from the base of your skull and then moving it downwards. It's interesting. I wanted to say from the base of your spine, but no, it's the base of your skull. So they're wanting, so that's the atlas point, the vagus nerve. So you can just see they're just using the hand, they're just using the hand for the spine. So in Chinese medicine, the hand has everything in the body, and so do the feet. And so they're just adjusting the atlas point, they're saying. The atlas point is the point, it's actually a really important point, but it's the point where your your head and your spine connect. So they're just can just see my hand has gotten more red as I'm rubbing it, but it's not, I'm rubbing it up here, but it's not red here, right? Because this is the origination. So it's like the base of the skull. They're saying it's not the base of the spine, but the base of the skull. And then just bringing in sources, golden light for Helen, for her highest and greatest good, asking for the healing and the clearing to be done to the root cause, to the very first incarnation with ease and grace. It almost feels like people use you as kind of like an emotional garbage can, like they just project their emotional garbage on you. So we're just releasing that. It is very painful. Like it's actually a big adjustment, but it is an important one. So it's like we're doing everything through energy work. If you ever feel drawn to going to a practitioner, you can, but we're doing everything through energy work. So the team, Helen's team says they're working very diligently. They're working very quickly. Good. Yeah, we're asking for it to be for Helen's highest and greatest good. And they're just saying right now, they're just anchoring it. And then just adjusting the spine. So we saw some hearts coming through the chat. So Helen moves as truth. She moves as one. And we seal this in Source's name. Only aligning with God's Source divine presence through the heart. Rejecting everything not Source from Helen's field. And then Helen stays in her power. The solar plexus where the ribs meet, Helen stays in her power, the yellow. And she means it. And that's it. You don't even have to tell people, I'm staying in my power. You can just be like, you can just touch your solar plexus where the ribs meet. You can just be like, I'm in my power. So yeah, it was a big activation, alignment. You can see there's like the red. And you can see where the origination is, right? Because it's where the deepest red is, and then it goes lighter as it moves up the hand. So, which would be actually down. So it'd be like, this is Helen's head, and then the spine is going downwards. So that's kind of how they're showing it for this activation. So. Sometimes, they're saying, when you do a decree, you eject things out of your field that is not yours, but then also like a misalignment shows up, like a alignment, an alignment that is available for awakening, basically. So the atlas, which is connected the base of the skull, and then also the solar plexus, the power center. So Helen stays in her power. Doesn't mean you have power over people. You don't, obviously Helen's not going to yell and scream, but it's like, you don't have to like exert your power like thunder, you can just be like in your power and then in your inner body connected to source. And that actually is a lot of power because you are balanced, you're coming into your balanced state. Let's see if there's anything else for Helen. They're saying complete. Yeah, good. Have some water. Well, this is coconut water. It's like, it sounds like, it looks like it's a hot drink, but it's not a hot drink. So they're just working on Helen's right eye, so she sees things as they are. And then just kind of balancing over, just calling in source consciousness, the golden light of source to kind of go all over all chakras, spine, head, feet, connected to Gaia, connecting to Gaia, which is new earth. And then just holding the field, holding the field. And then just releasing the left ear. Good. All right, let's take a look at the chat. So that's good for Helen. Okay, so Helen's question was to clear her chakras. Yeah, so we saw the origination is with the solar plexus, the yellow. See, it's like, so I'm so in tuned in it in the moment. And then as soon as I let it go, I like to let it go. But yeah, so the solar plexus, and then it connected with the Ellis point, and then it was shown on my hand, basically, the point, the healing point. And then let's see, Helen in the chat. And then Helen said she did a decree today and it was heavy. Yeah. And that they can be heavy because you're removing things from your field that may have been there for a long time that was causing interference, like a power imbalance. And then Helen says, okay, okay. And then thank you so much. And I feel much better. Okay, great. So the body has confirmed, right? So nothing shifts and clears unless the body says, yes, good, I feel better. So you might be some, it's pretty intense. Like you can see it's pretty red still. So just, keep, we're just gonna, what do we do? I'm like, what do we do? Okay, so Helen, 1982, she, her, so asked for the healing. And so the Atlas is a big energy adjustment. They're saying what they're going to do. So I said, what do we do? Because it's still like red on my hand. This is energy work, right? Like I'm not a medical doctor or practitioner, right? So it's like, this is just energy work. So they're saying, okay, well, what they're going to do is they're going to bring in a healing team of three, a healing team of three that are in service to source, right? So we're asking, are they in service to source? Are they for Helen's highest and greatest good, right? So no tricksters. And they said yes. And so they said what they're going to do is bring in the energy of the emerald, the green, so the heart. So where we pulled that thread for Helen from the heart, they're going to bring in the green emerald to help with the healing of the heart and also for the assimilation and the integration of this activation. So 3, and then also the emerald. So they're going to bring in the emerald. It will help with the healing of the heart. And then also the 3 healing angels of unconditional love. They're like under the protection of Archangel Raphael, and Archangel Raphael is in service to source. Yeah, good. And we claim this in source's name, and then we bring in source's golden light. And then we seal the space and seal this activation for Helen in source's name with the golden light of source. No interference. And then it's done. Yeah, they're saying it's done. And basically what Helen did was in that decree is she collapsed mimic timelines. So timelines that were copying her in this timeline. So then they've been collapsed. And then also false contracts have been revoked. And then just realigning again with source through sovereign command in this body now. Staying in her power. And it is done. All right, good job, Helen. That was good. That was a big one. So that was good that you asked to get to check in on that. That was really good. So gonna send lots of love. And Helen also says, let go of the emotional and physical abuse from an ex-boyfriend and father and aunt. Yeah, exactly. So why they would have been in your life, they would have been part of the dark triad. So the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, they surround light workers when they incarnate. And then we basically just need to, if you choose, get away from them as fast as possible because they do not improve, because they're basically like the administrators for the 3D material plane. So yeah, the physical and the emotional abuse. Yeah, and they're tricky, right? Because of course, you're young, when they happen. And then, the ex-boyfriend mimics the father, the aunt, and then, they kind of like gang up. And then you think, oh, well, it's like not in, I'm out of my family, and then it happens in relationships. But that's kind of how they have it set up. But that's why we're like basically knocking it out of the park. We're removing everything, not for our highest and greatest good. And we're clearing what is not ours. And then as soon as we release things, especially like what I call the perpetrators. So we release the perpetrators to source. So we release, Helen's father and aunt and ex-boyfriend to source. As soon as we do the decree, we release them. We release the energetic cords, because they're probably still siphoning from Helen. Even if Helen doesn't have contact with her, they're probably still siphoning. Then that ends the siphoning. And then Helen can look in her field and her body and see, okay, well, what's going on now with my body? So, because the body will always tell the truth. And then basically, like, then those energetic cords get cut, right? Because healthy people don't, like, I don't energetically put cords on, attachments. I don't need other people's energy. I need other people's energy, not in my own energy, right? Like light workers are self-generating light beings, light bodies, so they don't need, other people's energy. They can just be by themselves and they regenerate their own energy from source consciousness. So they need our energy, we don't need them, so that as soon as we cut those energetic cords to the root cause, to the very first incarnation, then we send them to source, and then that energy gets dealt with from source consciousness. So we just have to name what's happening, and we have to name it, and then we have to say what we do not want in our field. And that we're not okay. We're not okay. Yeah, a bumblebee just flew to the window. A little helper, little bumblebee. So Helen says, I feel much better. Okay, that's beautiful. And sending you unconditional love to you. Well, thanks, Helen. Sending unconditional love to you. And yeah, those degrees can be really intense, right? So sending you unconditional love too. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, thank you. I read it again because I just felt so good. Two are dead now, but feel connected. Can that happen? Yeah, so yes, that can happen because we're in 3D bodies, and then they're no longer in a 3D body, but like they're can be in the ether, right? So if they're part of the dark triad, the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, so they are part of the Draco reptilians and the reptilians, they are also in the ether of 4D. So yeah, they can still be causing interference in this life now you know, if the Anunnaki are creating interference from 4D, well, so are the Archons, so are the Draco reptilians and the reptilians and the dark triad, the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, right? Because they are kind of like in the ether, always looking for an opportunity to interfere. And then we're basically creating a field that is so source consciousness, 5D source consciousness, that there's nothing for them to hook into. There's no, you know, there's nowhere for them to come in. So there, this fly just landed, you know, and I always think flies are the archons, you know, and it's like sitting right there, you know, not moving outside, though not inside my space, outside, right? So it's like, yeah, they're kind of like flies are irritating, but you know, now once the decree is done and named and burned, it's like they're like a fly. They're basically innocuous. They're like they can't interfere with you because there's nothing to hook into because you're like neutral, right? You're at your heart space, which is a high vibration, and they can't go anywhere than low 3D. That's the only place they can live is in low 3D. So yeah, sending hearts back. So I got some hearts. I'm going to send them back. Good. Okay, so let's close for Helen. Bring in sources, golden light. Good. And then just we're seeing like a clear field, right? So just a field of sources, golden light. It's kind of like all around, like a sphere. So inside, outside, all around, like a bubble. And just stay in your power, Helen, and just mean it. It's like done. It's like I've released you all to source. The aunt, the dad, the ex-boyfriend, all to source. And then just we're seeing the field is clear. Helen's living field is clear. So good. Just doing final little clearings. Let's see if the fly moved on. Yes, the fly did move on. Look at that. They don't like sources golden light. I did nothing to make it move on. But it came back now, but it's further back, like further away, and it's a different one. It's a lot smaller. So yeah, there's a couple of them, I'd say, you know, but they're walking in the opposite direction. The fly is walking in the opposite direction. So instead of coming towards the window, it's going the other way. That's kind of funny, actually. Because I mean, they really literally, the best defense is no offense, is no offense. It's like neutral, staying in the heart with source consciousness. So, yeah. Good job, Helen. Good questions. Okay, so sending lots of love. All right. Okay, so Senija's asking, can our higher self dismantle the tapestry? If not, how can we do it? So let's look into Senija. So Senija 1973. So should Senija dismantle the tapestry? Okay, so Senija can say to her higher self that she revokes all information that is being held in the tapestry. So kind of like a petition. So you can just, Senija can just say, like, I revoke all information that is being stored in my name in the tapestry. I revoke consent. Inferred consent is not consent, and I revoke all inferred consent, and I revoke any information. They're just like clearing, clearing, clearing. I revoke all information under my name. And then Senija is also petitioning to dismantle the tapestry under the law of grace and under the law of one, for the highest and greatest good of all. So revoking all false soul contracts, rejecting the light trap, and only aligning with God's source divine presence, and only entering the mirror grid. The mirror grid is source mirroring source, God mirroring God, the divine mirroring the divine. So it's like for us, we are a reflection of source consciousness. So we are the embodiment of source mirroring source in a 3D body, as a heart-based 3D body. So we only ask for truth and respect. And if we're asking for a petition to collapse, if the tapestry is false, if the tapestry is part of the false light, we are petitioning for the tapestry to be collapsed or they're just showing like all the zigzag, the zigzag ways that the tapestry has created. So we're asking for the collapse of the tapestry, for the souls to be freed. If there's any souls that are trapped in the tapestry, we are asking for the souls to be freed. And Senija is asking for that for herself, to dismantle the tapestry for herself, but then to also dismantle the tapestry for all. If the tapestry is part of the false light, is the tapestry part of the false light? Yes. Was the intention of the tapestry to trap souls? Yes. The Akashic Records and the cosmic records of Thoth, like as a cosmic citizen, right? So meaning like Earth and beyond, right? Cosmic are the main ones, are the main records. So Anubis in the Egyptian timeline, or Egyptian expression with Anput. So Anubis is the masculine, and then Anput is the divine feminine. And they basically, an Anput, the divine feminine, starts the process, and then Anubis finishes, right? So the woman is always a little bit in the lead in terms of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And then the measurement is the scale, so the heart and the feather. So we want basically the tapestry to be judged by source. My heart's getting on fire. Totally on fire. It's like, okay, so we're asking, yeah, to put kind of the flame of truth. That's kind of like the right word, actually, because I could feel like my heart going on fire, but they're saying like that's actually accurate. So we're asking for the flame of truth and to move as truth and to seal it in the living field now and that all the souls that the higher selves say yes, that the souls that say yes get freed. Only through consent with their higher self of only unconditional love. So we're going to be very picky right now, very specific, that only the souls of source consciousness with their higher selves of only unconditional love, if they revoke the light trap that the tapestry created, then they have an opportunity to say yes and revoke that light trap. And we release the tapestry to source for justice, for justice. Like hands free, like I let go, right? And then Senija put it forward. So it's like putting a petition forward to source consciousness, God, source, divine presence, putting a petition forward, and then we let go, basically. And I can feel it's created quite a fire. it's it's intense. So it's thousands, millions, thousands, millions. And they're just said, it is done. So we ask that it be updated in the records if it's done. So the Akashic Records, and then also with the cosmic records with Thoth. And then only source aligned remains. Only source consciousness remains. And then we're protected with a golden seal. Like we're going to seal this space in source's name. We're sealing the living field now in source's name. And we're free. I am free now. I am sovereign. And then we hold steady in our field now. So we're grounded with Gaia. We hold steady, feet on the ground, totally grounded. We move as truth. And then again, we seal the space in source's name. And I am free now. I am sovereign. I am free. And I release all of this to source. I let go. And then we just ask that all that approaches us must match love, truth, and respect. And I think that's where we should sign off. It's 1:11 p.m. Vancouver time. So we went from 11 to 1:11. Good job. But I think let's close while we have that 1:11. So Senija says she's crying and laughing at the same time. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. See, and that now we're doing true Lightworker work, right? True Lightworker work. We're doing our petitions. Mary and I have done, from Quantum Connectors, have done really good petitions together, and we have done really good petitions together. So thank you, Senija. Thank you, Helen, for asking your questions and bringing them forward in the chat. I really appreciate it. And, you know, your questions will help so many people. I know that to be true. And we know that this work, you know, is helping all of us. Lots of love to the children, the light workers, the young light workers, you know, may they be safe. May the protectors that they need stand up. And then just lots of love, and always use your discernment, right? That's what we're really learning with as light workers, we're really learning our discernment. And so lots of love, and see you in the next one. Always follow your own discernment. It's really important. Follow your own knowing and your own heart. You know, we're not here to be taught. We're here to remember who we are. We're remembering who we are.